The snow fell heavy that December night, blanketing the small Montana train station in silence. It was the kind of cold that cut through layers, the kind that made even the bravest hurry indoors. But one figure didn't move from the splintered bench near the platform. Huddled under a thin, worn-out coat, a young woman clutched a baby wrapped in tattered blankets, rocking gently, whispering lullabies only a mother could make beautiful through the trembling of her lips. Her face was pale from the chill, her shoes soaked through. She hadn't eaten since morning. Her eyes, though tired, stayed vigilant, watching each train pass with quiet desperation, hoping, praying, for something or someone. Jackson Holt didn't belong at the train station that night. A man of means and ranching legacy, Jackson was Montana's most eligible and reclusive millionaire cowboy. He preferred the company of horses and open skies to cocktail parties or social events. He was returning from a charity event he hadn't wanted to attend, dressed in a black Stetson and worn leather boots, when he spotted her, like a ghost of sorrow seated beneath a flickering street lamp. Something in her posture stopped him cold, more than the weather ever could. He approached slowly, uncertain if she was awake. "Ma'am," he said gently. The woman looked up with frightened eyes, instinctively pulling her child closer. "I'm fine," she lied, her voice cracking with cold and pride. Jackson knelt down beside her. "It's below freezing out here. There's no train coming tonight. The last one's already gone." She hesitated, her lips parting, but no words came out. The child stirred with a weak cough that made Jackson's chest tighten. "Come on," he said, removing his coat and wrapping it around her shoulders. "You don't need to trust me. Just let me get you both warm." "I don't have anywhere to go," she whispered. "Then let's figure it out together," he replied. Her name was Emily. She had fled an abusive relationship back in Ohio, traveling cross-country with her 3-month-old son, Liam, in search of a new beginning. She had planned to stay with a distant cousin in Oregon, but her wallet had been stolen in Chicago. Since then, every step had been harder than the last. She hadn't slept in a bed for 3 nights. Jackson took her to his ranch, not out of pity, but instinct. There was something about her strength beneath the surface, her refusal to cry even when she was clearly broken. His housekeeper, Maria, helped get Emily and Liam warm, fed, and settled. That night, Jackson stood in the hallway outside the guest room, listening to the soft coo of the baby and the mother's whispered prayers of gratitude. Something stirred in him, something he hadn't felt in years. Days turned into weeks. Emily insisted on helping around the ranch to earn her keep. She mended fences, cooked meals, even learned to help with the horses. Despite the hardships she'd faced, she laughed easily and worked harder than anyone Jackson had ever seen. She never asked for anything. It humbled him. One evening, as snow danced outside the window, Jackson found her in the barn, cradling Liam and singing softly. Her voice was cracked but beautiful. She looked up and smiled, genuinely, for the first time in days. "You have a way of making this place feel like home," he said, leaning against the doorframe. Emily chuckled. "Funny. I've never really had one." "You do now," he said softly. That winter became the turning point for them both. Jackson, who had lost his wife to cancer years before, had locked his heart away in grief and land. Emily, bruised but not broken, began to bloom again under the warmth of safety and kindness. They spent long days tending to the land and quiet nights sharing stories by the fireplace. Liam, once fragile and sickly, began to grow stronger, his eyes bright, his giggle infectious. Still, Emily wrestled with the idea of love. "You don't owe me anything, Jackson," she told him one day as they walked through the frost-covered fields. "I'm not someone you need to rescue." Jackson stopped walking. "Emily, I'm not trying to rescue you. You rescued me." It was true. She had breathed life back into his world. Her presence made the house feel alive again, full of laughter and possibility. He had the wealth, the land, the freedom, but it had never meant much without someone to share it with. Spring arrived, and with it, warmth and new beginnings. Emily received a letter from the cousin in Oregon, apologizing for not being reachable, offering her a room and job. That night, she sat quietly at the dinner table, turning the letter in her hands. Jackson watched her, his heart heavy. "I think you should go," he said finally, though it nearly broke him. "If it's what you want." Emily looked up, her eyes brimming with unshed tears. "And if what I want, is right here." He rose slowly, walking to her, taking her hand in his. "Then stay," he whispered. "Not because you have to. But because you choose to." She did. That summer, Jackson proposed in the very barn where he first heard her sing to Liam. He had crafted a simple ring from one of his late mother's hairpins and a sapphire stone passed down from his grandmother. "It's not flashy," he said nervously, "but it's real. Like us." Emily cried as she said yes, and little Liam clapped his tiny hands as if he understood the joy between them. Their wedding was small, held under the wide Montana sky with horses grazing in the distance and neighbors bringing pies and blessings. People across the country heard about the millionaire cowboy and the train station angel, as the newspapers called them. But Jackson and Emily didn't care about headlines. What mattered was their new life, built not on fortune, but faith, courage, and love. Years later, they opened a shelter near the very same train station where their journey began. Hope Haven, they called it. A safe place for women and children escaping abuse, just like Emily once had. It became a beacon in the cold for others who had nowhere else to go. Jackson often told visitors, "You never know how one act of kindness can change your whole life. I just offered a coat. But I got a family." And Emily, now stronger and brighter than ever, would smile and add, "I thought I was at the end of the line." But it turned out, it was just the beginning. Their love story made history, not because of money or fame, but because it reminded the world that even in the coldest places, the warmth of kindness can change everything.